Alright, quick update on crypto.com. So in this video, it seems like we're about to have a bearish momentum shift to the downside. So what I'm going to be doing is looking at how crypto.com is performing against the US dollar. We're going to be talking about how my prediction from the last video panned out. We're then going to be moving on to the CRO BTC pair, see how crypto.com is performing against Bitcoin, and talk about the prediction from that chart as well. We're going to be wrapping up the video today, talking about how the Bitcoin dominance and talking about how, if this continues to go up, this is likely to affect crypto.com. Let's jump right into today's video. So starting off on the lower time frames for crypto.com, in the last video I basically said, in my opinion, we would be lollygagging for the next week or so underneath these EMA ribbons, and the reason I said that was because if we zoom out, you can basically see they had a massive landslide ever since this date where they changed the fundamentals and they basically ruined the crypto.com Visa cards, or at least in my subjective opinion, they ruined the crypto.com Visa cards. I was one of the holders of the higher tiers, and it just wasn't worth it for me to hold the card anymore, so I liquidated the crypto.com that I had staked for it. And I know a ton of other people have done the exact same, and you don't even need to be a genius, you just need to look at the chart, see how much selling volume came in the day that they changed the fundamentals. There was 4.8 million sold on that day, the next day there was 3.5 million. Since then, we have kind of been having a loss of momentum, which technically is a good thing, but at the same time, it is slowly still trickling down, and it does look like, well, we obviously have broken down from this bear flag. If we do extrapolate this bear flag price target, you can actually see this would be coming into fruition at around about 5 cents. So this would be a massive drop. And bear in mind, at this moment in time, this is not the price prediction that I am talking about. I don't necessarily think we would go as low as 5 cents. I wouldn't rule it out. But at this moment in time, and as of the last couple of videos, I've been telling you that this 60% drop was my price prediction. In fact, I believe I made this back here on the 26th of May. So it's been a while. It's been at least 2 weeks or so now. So, we basically trended sideways. So, you may have just found my channel in the past day or so whenever you're watching this video. I do cover crypto.com. However, I don't need to post updates every single day if we're just going sideways. But now we are finally having this shift to the downside. Obviously, Bitcoin has come down to basically the last line in the sand. We've been lollygagging, trending sideways for the past, I believe, 34 days now over on the BTC price, and we've moved back down to the bottom of the channel. So if we do break below this floor, crypto.com is going to get absolutely slaughtered. But I kind of want to leave how Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance is going to affect crypto.com towards the end of the video. So just very quickly, the last line in the sand on the USD pair. I know I'm saying last line in the sand, but we've technically speaking, we've already broken below all of the last lines in the sand. Like, just looking at this from the low to the high in terms of the fib, your 786 fib down here was your last lines in the sand. On the daily time frame, we also drew it to the candle body closes round about here. I'm not going to do it again just because I don't want to waste time, but we basically had these two orange lines neck and neck, and these were your two 786 Fibonacci's back at 35 and 33 cent. We're long below those. I told you at 35 cent we were bearish. I told you at 45 cent we were bearish, and when I actually told everyone that I was selling my crypto.com back up here at 35 cent, I remember I had one or two people comment. I remember one person's comment specifically saying, don't cry when crypto.com pumps, but at this point in time, I can buy my crypto.com back for 56% cheaper. And if that person's still holding crypto.com, I imagine that, they're probably the ones crying at this point in time. So, it's RIP. This is really what happens when you bring your emotions into these charts. The fact of the matter is, if you look at my channel, I'm not a hype channel. I do not BS. I do not hype or beat around the bush. I look at the charts objectively. I say it how it is. Bear in mind, I could have just made a stupid thumbnail with emergency logos everywhere saying crypto.com to £100, and it would have got way more views, it would have got way more likes. But the fact that I'm sitting here being objective, telling you how it is and telling you that this chart looks like dog shit, I'm going to get more dislikes, I'm going to get more, haters, but that doesn't matter to me. I really don't care if people dislike, my content. I'm here to, provide an unbiased perspective, which if I was a new crypto investor, this is the kind of content that I would appreciate. So it is what it is. If you don't like the content, then there's hopium elsewhere. But looking at the fundamentals, they're really not good right now. Looking at the charts, they're really not good right now. There's no bullish signals that I can give whatsoever on crypto.com. I still do think we're moving lower. Bear in mind, I've been calling this for quite some period of time now, and since the last video specifically, we haven't really moved down too much. You know, since my last video, we're only down about 14%, which is nothing crazy. You know, I obviously don't want to celebrate this trade quite yet. I do still think we're coming all the way down to 7 cent, which if we zoom out is basically the lows of where this came down onto FTX before we had this big rally. If we come over to crypto.com over on KuCoin, you can see the lows. These are the lows down here at 7 cent, and we do have lows a lot lower than that. We actually have lows at 5 cent, which could definitely be a possibility. You know, if I come over to this chart over here, we also do have very, very convincingly the massive bear flag also lines up with 5 cents. So, you know, bear in mind at this moment in time, I'm not predicting a move down to 5 cent. This is not what I'm predicting. I'm still predicting that we are going to have this move down to 7 cent. This is what I think is going to be happening at this moment in time. Now, your last line in the sand, bear in mind I'm talking about this micro move. Your last micro line in the sand would be 1.44 right here. If we zoom out, you can see there's support here, there's support here. You can also argue that there is going to be support here, but I think as this is such a big level, and especially after we start picking up a tiny bit more momentum, which is what I'm going to talk about in a second, because we are picking up some bearish momentum over on the momentum indicators, we're going to be rocketed down to the next level, which is approximately a 21.5% drop from the breakdown. So it would be very, very imperative that we do hold 1.44 cent. Bear in mind, at this moment in time, I do not hold Crypto.com. I used to hold Crypto.com before their Visa card status has changed. I've said this in a lot of my videos, but I used to hold one of the higher tier Crypto.com cards. And once they changed the fundamentals, you know, I was paying an obscene amount of money. I had an obscene amount of money staked for a for a Visa card that gave me free Netflix and like a couple of % cash back, when it used to be, you know, a lot higher. So it just wasn't worth it for me anymore, and thank God I did sell. You know, you can go back to this video on the 1st of May. It's aged beautifully. It's aged like fine rum, but we're down 56% since I made that prediction. So, you know, once again, I imagine there's probably new people who are looking at my channel, maybe people who got into the crypto market in the past year and a half, and they're thinking, you know, this guy is predicting a 54% drop. He must be a hater. I'm not a hater. You know, I'm looking at this chart objectively. The chart looks like dog shit. We're below all of your EMA ribbons. We're below all of your moving averages. And just like people told me I was going to be wrong when I said this at 35 cent, you know, if people tell me this at 15 cent, they're probably going to delete their comments when we come down to 5 cent, just like the other people did on the 1st of May. But it is what it is. I still do think we're coming down another level. So from where we are now, 54%, I do also want to talk about the minor increase in bearish volume that we've been having. If we do come over to the, where is it, over here on KuCoin, you can see increase in bearish volume over here as well. Nothing too crazy. Like I really do want to specify, because like I said, I do want to make this analysis as objective as possible. While we are having an increase in volume, this is nothing like the volume that was back here when the Matt Damon ad started playing, when Crypto.com went through its advertising stage, you know, towards the top of this. To be honest, we probably should have seen this as a buy the rumor, sell the news. As soon as they announced that they were buying the Crypto.com stadium, that was literally the top. So we really probably should have seen that coming. I personally didn't see that coming. I have no quarrels in saying that I didn't see that coming. But you know, it was literally a buy the rumor, sell the news event. As soon as they bought the stadium, it was done. But you know, nonetheless, I still don't think that it would have gone too much higher anyway. That being said, since the Matt Damon ads have started to fizzle out, since they are spending less money on advertising and all that good stuff, you know, we have seen this massive landslide, which is really telling, because the way that Crypto.com works is obviously the tokenomics are pretty ugly unless you're staking, so you get rewards for this. There is a very high level of inflation over on the Crypto.com ecosystem, or the CRO ecosystem, I should say, the Cronos ecosystem, the Cronos Blockchain more specifically. But nonetheless, you know, there is a high level of inflation. So unless you're getting those staking rewards, then it's probably just not worth investing, in my opinion. That's just my humble opinion. You can also see big M pattern coming down on us right now. If we do capitulate below this, let's see where this would take us. This would break us below your other, you know, line in the sand down here at 11.4 cent from where we are at this moment in time. And bear in mind, I also do think we are coming down to this breakdown. This would be approximately a 33% drop. So, you know, bear in mind, I have to emphasize this. these are macro predictions, or mid to macro predictions. This is what I'm predicting is going to happen in the next couple of weeks, the next month or two. It really does not it really does not matter what happens in the next day or so, especially if we come down or if we come up. It really doesn't matter to me, because 4-hourly time frame, you can see a lot of the time we're breaking down on the 4 hours since we topped at the double 618 at 0.5. Or was this this was the double 618, but since then. Also, I do just want to say one more thing about the macro market structure, because a lot of people might disagree with me that the market structure is bearish, but the most simple way to tell whether market structure is bullish or bearish is just to draw your fib and see how is the macro market holding up. So from the low all the way to the high, we broke down, held the 786. That is good in of itself. We bounced up to the 0.5, got rejected. That is bad. We broke down, broke up, got double topped at the 618. So, we basically M down. So, the top of this was coming up to the 0.5. The top of this was coming down to the 618. And then we broke down, and I believe on the daily time frame, I believe the daily broke below, or came back to the 786. 786 was right here. Broke down, back tested it, and we've been moving down since then. So, as I've been saying on this channel for a very, very long period of time now, it was absolutely textbook what we saw with Crypto.com. We saw this coming from 1,000,001 miles away. And you can see on the daily time frame that we did break down, we bounced up. I drew it a little bit wrong there. We broke down, bounced up to the 786, and once again, like clockwork, got rejected from it. So the macro market structure is very, very bearish. The micro market structure is very, very bearish as well. I would also like to say, because some people might look at this and think this is reminiscent of a head and shoulders, I would disagree. The head, in terms of the candle body closes, came down much, much lower, and also the shoulder that we're currently seeing right now is lower than the head. So this is not a head and shoulders, which is why I have not mentioned it. In fact, in my opinion, this is an M once again, and if this does play out, we would be moving all the way down to the levels of 10 cents. So once again, my macro prediction is for us to come down to 7 cent within the next couple of weeks, within the next couple of months. I would also like to say on the daily time frame, as well as the increase in bearish volume we are seeing, we have ticked over into light red on the squeeze mom. This is indicative that we are about to roll down and have one more massive, massive leg to the downside before we do have a bottom. Bear in mind, you can see when we do have these daily bearish shifts, these are not small signals. In fact, to make this as unbiased as possible, let's go back to the shortest period in time that a bearish impulse lasted from, and this was right here. Now, you could look at this, but this was resetting and then pushing into a new trend. So if you are talking about this, you're talking about this whole impulse. This to me looks like the shortest trend that we had over on the squeeze bomb. So based on previous trends, this was at least 11 days. We should expect at least another 11 days to the downside. Am I expecting 11 days to the downside? Absolutely not. I'm expecting months to the downside, and I want to talk about why in just 1 second, and it's predominantly to do with the Bitcoin pair and the Bitcoin dominance. So let's hop into that. My price targets. The next level down, the next major level down rather, is down here, the M pattern breakdown at 10 cent. The next level down from that is 7. The next level down is 5. My price target is 7. If we head over to the Crypto.com BTC pair, this was another bearish breakdown that we were predicting. This was a 35% drop. We're currently down 16.5%. So very interestingly, it seems like Crypto.com has been performing terribly against Bitcoin. It's basically getting slaughtered against Bitcoin, which is exactly as we predicted. If we do zoom out on this, you can see we are coming down to the last line in the sand. We have, I don't want to call this a pattern because, if anything, this would be a massive, what's the word? Converging wedge. It's an asymmetrical triangle, whatever you want to kind of call it. This would be an asymmetrical triangle in like years, though. Nonetheless, I'm just looking at these as trend lines, and we broke below basically the most important trend line before we come all the way down to here, which is why I was predicting a 35% drop. So from where we are at this moment in time, another 22% to the downside is very likely. Look at the weekly squeeze mom. We are absolutely having a face tear to the downside. So if you're invested in Crypto.com right now, you're basically flushing your money down the toilet because this is not performing well against Bitcoin. You can see previous all-time high, lower high, and it's just not doing well. It's not performing well against Bitcoin whatsoever. Since 2019, this has not outperformed Bitcoin. So That is something important to note. Even with the massive rally we had on the Matt Damon ads, you would have been better holding Bitcoin since back in 2019 if you are a long-term hodler. If you're a trader, completely different. If you're a trader like myself and you got in for the run up to $1, then obviously congratulations. Well, congratulations if you got out. If you're still holding now, then, you know, my condolences. Obviously that's not fun, but nonetheless, we are still looking bearish. You know, bear in mind, I could have just taken photos of my face, pulling stupid faces, putting emergency logos saying crypto.com to $10 by the end of the year. I would have got more views, I would have got more likes, but this is not what this channel's about. I look at the charts objectively for what they are, and this chart looks like dog shit. You know, I don't like to sugarcoat things. This chart is terrible. And finishing things off, Bitcoin is basically coming down to the last line in the sand. If Bitcoin breaks below this, it's going to have a massive tumble. And more importantly, because you might be wondering, what does Bitcoin have to do with crypto.com? The fact of the matter is, if Bitcoin breaks down, crypto.com will break down 10 times as hard. If we look at the Bitcoin dominance as well, the Bitcoin dominance is on a massive rally. What does this mean? This means while the Bitcoin dominance is going up, Bitcoin will outperform altcoins. So pair that with the fact that the Bitcoin price is going down, and you can imagine if Bitcoin goes down 10%, but the Bitcoin dominance is still going up, because bear in mind, Bitcoin dominance has been going up for the past month. Bitcoin has been going sideways / down for the past month. If Bitcoin takes another leg to the downside, I'm telling you, the Bitcoin dominance is going to go on a massive rally. What is this going to mean? Even though Bitcoin is moving to the downside, Bitcoin is heavily outperforming altcoins. And if Bitcoin does break to the downside, Bitcoin dominance is going to go skyrocketing. The crypto.com BTC pair is going to massively landslide. So bear in mind, if you are invested in crypto.com right now, this is a terrible performer at this moment in time against the USD pair. It's a terrible performer against the BTC pair. And I've been saying this for the past month now, but it is not the time to invest in altcoins. It is not alt season. Every time you see the Bitcoin dominance go on a rally, it is the time to sit in Bitcoin and wait for a trend reversal. I will be letting you know when I do next plan on picking up crypto.com, because at some point in time, I wouldn't be opposed to picking up the Visa card that I did sell, because let's say hypothetically, we do come down to my price target of 7 cents from when I sold. And once again, you can go back and watch my video. If you do not believe me, or if you think I'm lying for some reason, go back to the 1st of May, look at my video at 35 cents. You will see that I said black and white, I am selling all of my crypto.com on this day. If we do break down all the way down to my price target, crypto.com will be 80% cheaper, meaning I can buy my crypto.com Visa card back 5 times over. So I'd be very happy to do that. Not that I would want 5 Visa cards, I think 1 would be fine. Nonetheless, you get my gist. That is basically all I've got for crypto.com. Be very cautious if you're still trading these altcoins. Believe me, I know if you're a crypto.com fan, I've probably rubbed you the wrong way, but I am not here to beat around the bush. I'm not here to sugarcoat the data. I'm not here to say, oh, if crypto.com goes down, then it's going to do this, but it's still a great project and you should still DCA even though the Bitcoin dominance is going up and it's clear that Bitcoin's outperforming altcoins. This is not the type of channel I am. I'm here to say what I see. This is my opinion. This is what I see going on in the charts. And if you go back to my videos since the 1st of May when I flipped bearish, they have been aging like fine rum. That's all I've got for you today for crypto.com. Expect a massive move to the downside within the next month or two. All I've got for you today, as always, not financial advice. Cowboy out. Peace.